Hello, challengers. How are you going today? I'm here with Mitch. How are you?
Good, mate. Hello, everybody.
Now, on Fridays, we usually do a podcast, the Break-Thru podcast. However, today's a special day. It is the day that we send out the email to all of you in regards to the challenge information and basically why we're doing this challenge. And I think we're going to answer some questions that you may have after reading this email.
Yeah, we've obviously got together the big document for you guys that we're going to email out, but we just wanted to give a little more context to some of the info that we have in there, just so you have a bit more of an understanding of where we're at with everything. As always, if you do have any questions after watching this video and after reading the document, then feel free to reach out. But we feel like a lot of uncertainties will hopefully be answered through this.
First question, Mitch, why are we doing the challenge? Why this time of year?
Yeah, we thought that this time of the year, before things get a little bit crazy in December and into January, it's a really good time for people to focus on their nutrition a little more and get things in check leading up to Christmas time and New Year's and potentially holidays. And feel like it's a good opportunity to start to develop some really good habits leading into the new year, and not just putting it on the back burner for another few months until February or March rolls around next year. So we felt as though November and the timing of that was good.
Okay. Now, with this challenge, as you can tell from the email, we focus on three key components: hydration, protein intake, and fruit and vegetable. Now, the reason we're doing this is we have coached lots of people over the last 5 years with nutrition, and sometimes we can find it can be very, very, very complicated if we were to do things like track our calories or track our macros. Would you agree with that, Mitch?
Yeah, I mean, we've done that with other people in the past, and some people in this group and part of this challenge may have even had some one-on-one coaching with us in the past. And we feel as though that there are some people who are able to get some good results from that, but more importantly, are also able to stick with that ongoing into a more of a longer term thing. But we've also found that the majority of people, unfortunately, just find it really hard to be able to commit to staying consistent with counting calories and or counting macronutrients. So we wanted to find something, we wanted to develop something that was going to be a little easier for people to be able to adhere to and a little easier for people to be able to sustain in the longer term without totally forgetting about the importance of calories and macronutrients. And that's where we kind of landed on this idea when it comes to those three main things, which we'll talk about a bit more in a little bit moment here. But felt as though that for the most part, that calories and macronutrients are just a little bit too daunting and a little bit too overwhelming for a lot of people to commit to.
Yeah, so let's just so we're clear, if you want to build muscle, you need to be in a calorie surplus, which means that you're eating more food and you're burning. And for the majority of you listening, which is going to be a fat loss goal, you need to consume less calories than you're burning. Now, that sounds so simple when you say it like that, but just because something is simple and you guys understand the science behind it does not mean it's easy to execute. And that is the problem with me shouting calories in, calories out at everyone, because it is simple. The principles are simple, but it's not easy to execute, as sometimes it can feel like you're doing a science experiment, or you're adding numbers up, or you're using MyFitnessPal. And as Mitch said, it just can definitely become overwhelming at times.
And we find that does work for some people. Like, I know it worked really well for you the last few years, but the more and more people that we've worked with in terms of the members that we have, we find that for the most part, it's not something that people are able to sustain. And that's why we've just looked for something else, a different approach to their nutrition.
Yeah, and these three things that we're going to focus on, we both don't like the word diet, which is why it's not the 30-day dieting challenge. It is just about getting healthy. And we feel as though if you nail these three categories, hydration, protein intake, and vegetables, it is next to impossible to overeat.
Yeah, well, that's the whole premise of what it is. And that's where, when we're not focused on fat loss, we're not focused on calories, we're not focused on the amount of protein you're eating or anything like that. But we feel as though if you are drinking 3 liters of water a day, you're having your 2 servings of protein, and you are having 700 grams of fruit and veg, then it is near impossible to be in that calorie surplus that people often are when they are, or always are, if they are putting on weight. And that's where we feel like if we're able to almost trick you guys in the sense that we're not looking at numbers for calories and macros, but by following these three things, you are actually going to find yourself in a calorie surplus, or at least a calorie maintenance. And when that happens, you are often going to, experience some fat loss. And that's just a product of eating more healthy. And like Jamie mentioned, it's going to be very hard to overeat these things. And that's the whole idea and the whole premise of what we've got in the challenge, where if we're eating more good quality food, then it leaves less room in our belly and in our, I guess, hunger and appetite to be eating more of those things that aren't as great for us.
Now, with other diets, just let's name a few: ketogenic, intermittent fasting, and paleo. They're similar to our challenge. They are basic principles. For example, ketogenic. If you eliminate carbohydrates, you're more likely to eat less food, therefore you'll be in a calorie deficit. If you're intermittent fasting, you'll not eat breakfast, eliminate one meal, therefore you're more likely to be in a calorie deficit. If you're doing paleo, you're eliminating processed foods, therefore more likely to be in a calorie deficit. The problem with those three diets that we both strongly agree on is we don't want anything to be restrictive. We don't want any food group, type of food, good food, bad food, healthy food, unhealthy food, to be off limits, because we want to enjoy life and everything is okay in moderation. And if you follow these three principles, we feel that everything will be in moderation.
Exactly. And I feel as though there's part of the human psychology where if you tell someone that they can't have something, then they're going to want it even more. So we have not eliminated anything from anyone's nutrition. They can have alcohol, they can have fast food, they can have chocolate, they can have all of those things that they enjoy. However, you need to be adding those other things into your nutrition plan. More water, more fruit and veg. For a lot of you guys, more protein as well. And if you're able to add those things, then you are able to still enjoy those other parts of your nutrition, even if they aren't so healthy. But we feel like you're going to be so full and so, I guess, satiated from those other foods and that extra water that you're going to definitely be eating less of that other stuff because you just won't be as hungry.
And we both talk about the low-hanging fruit. For those that don't know, low-hanging fruit is what are the simplest things that we can change today that don't cause a massive disruption in your life. For example, if we eliminated alcohol and you've got a wedding week 2 of the challenge, that's not going to go well. And with that mindset, that week 2 is probably going to be not great with food because you already know that you're going to be going off plan because something's restrictive.
Yeah, we wanted to mix in with your lifestyle, and that's where we put a lot of thought into the 3 metrics that we wanted to have for you guys. Adding water, having a bit more of a specific protein goal, and then for just about everyone, I imagine eating more fruit and veg. It's things that are doable for the busy mum, for the busy dad, for the young single person, for the older, person whose kids are out of home. It's achievable for everybody. You don't need to turn, your life upside down or be missing social events or be, I guess, second guessing a holiday that you're taking to try and meet those things. It's things that you can add into your everyday life and it's not going to be too drastic.
Okay, so if that makes sense, guys, great. If it doesn't, feel free to ask us any questions in regards to the principles behind the challenge and why we are doing it. Number one, probably the number one biggest low-hanging fruit of all time is hydration. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so we feel as though most people don't drink enough water, especially the people that we have in our program and at our gyms. They're training as well, so that provides a need for more water and more hydration. So we felt like that was an easy one for us to target, and we came to the agreement that 3 liters is a good number for everybody. And we feel as though this will be a lot more than what most people are having. And like we talk about in that document, it is something that will incur some more time spent in the bathroom. And that's the thing that we always hear about most when people start to drink more water. But we feel as though that is one of the most important, if not the most important things within what we put in our bodies, because without enough water, then nothing else will work the way it should. So we give a few tips and a few different ideas in the document as well as to how to make sure you get that 3 liters, but feel as though that's a nice roundabout number that most of us, if not all of us, should be able to achieve.
And I like making drastic examples. So for example, you can survive 30 days without food. However, if you go without water for 3 days, you die. Like it is unbelievably important for every single function in your body, whether it is your digestion, whether it is brain cognition, whether it is performance in the gym, whether it's avoiding headaches, protecting your joints. If someone says they got a headache, the first thing I say is, how much water have you drunk today? Like it could really go a long way just to improving every single aspect of your health. And we find the things that are easiest to do, like have a bottle of water with you at all times, they're also the easiest things not to do. Even myself, often it will be 10:30, we've just finished sessions, and I've had 600 mils of water and I've worked out, it's just not enough.
Yeah, and especially this time of the year when the summer is just around the corner, there's even more of a need to be drinking water. So we wanted to set the precedent for something that, not only people are doing for this 30 days, but they're able to continue with beyond.
Absolutely. Okay, so 3 liters of water. In regards to breaking it down, a great way to do it is grab 2 1.5 litre bottles and drink half in the morning, half at night. However, I think we also both agree is it's best to knock all this stuff over as early as possible in the day. That would definitely help with adherence.
So yeah, and
you don't want to get to 2 p.m. and have had next to no water and have to cram 3 liters in before dinner.
Exactly. And I think having that water bottle with you at all times, whether it is at the gym in the morning, sitting on your desk at work, sitting, next to you at home, or having it with you in your bag, it's going to be something that you are going to be more likely to consume if you have it with you, as opposed to having to make an effort to go pour yourself a glass of water or buy a bottle of water or whatever that may be. So have it with you always, and I think that'll make things a lot easier.
Okay, and there's nothing wrong with drinking more than 3 liters of water, but that is the minimum required amount to get a pass from us on a challenge day. Number 2, Mitch, is protein.
Yep, so that's a question we get a lot of, and something that, especially you, but we both spoke about in great detail in terms of how many grams of protein we need per day, what are your best sources of protein, how much protein should you have each meal, should I have a protein shake, et cetera, the list goes on. So we wanted to really simplify this to make it as easy as possible to adhere to. And what we landed on there in the end was having 2 servings of protein at a minimum each day. Whether that comes from meat or a vegan alternative like a tofu or something, eggs or a protein shake. We did make a list there in the document as to all the things that we do consider to be protein sources. 2 servings of those today. You're not having to weigh or measure any of those servings. How we kind of determined what a serving size was a handful. So keeping it very simple. Obviously, it's not going to be to the gram, and we're not exactly sure how big your hands are or how big your handfuls are, but feel as though that a handful of meat or a meat alternative in with your dinner, in with your lunch, or even with your breakfast constitutes a serving. And then with eggs, we've said 2 eggs for that, and 1 serving of protein powder is obviously just 1 scoop. So we wanted to really simplify that, so you're not having to overthink it or worry too much about numbers on that one. That's going to come next in the fruit and veg, but just 2 handfuls and 2 servings of protein is what we're after.
Yeah, and out of all the meal plans I've looked at, that is definitely the one macronutrient that is missing, and it's by far the most important macronutrient. Whether you're trying to lose body fat or build muscle, protein is absolutely essential next to water for so many functions in our body. If you're trying to build muscle, protein will help you develop that muscle. However, if you're losing body fat, which is, I believe, is more important, that protein will help you maintain that muscle. So you have people that crash diet, that eat next to nothing, they lose a bunch of weight, they lose a lot of muscle, and they're the people that put the weight back on, because every time you lose that muscle, your body is in a worse state to continue dieting. So we want to maintain as much muscle as possible by eating 2 servings of protein per day. And protein too, it's also very filling. So just like water, it's going to help you stay on track. So once again, another low-hanging fruit is the more protein that you eat, the less likely you are to binge. If you're having a big glass of water, some chicken and some vegetables, that's going to fill you up.
Yeah, and obviously with the additional vegetables that we'll be having as well, with vegetables, most vegetables comes extra protein too. Not a whole lot of it, but enough just to keep things ticking over. So we feel like that combined with making an effort for at least 2 servings a day is going to put you in a good place to be reaching enough protein. We're not worried about how many grams it is. We're not worried about how much you weigh or what gender you are. We just want it to be simple. 2 servings a day, plus at least 350 grams of vegetables, because that has the protein where most fruit doesn't, is going to put you in that position to be able for you to reach enough protein each day.
Yeah, and that's definitely the biggest thing that we found over the years with all of our members over the last 5 years is simply just not eating enough protein. And the breakfast might be cereal, then it might be just like a peanut butter sandwich, and then they have a chocolate bar. Yeah, and then
lasagna for dinner.
Lasagna for dinner. And at the end of the day, there's just not enough protein in that diet to make you feel good, but to maintain muscle or to build muscle. So protein is the most important thing by far. Every single diet that exists on Earth that you've heard of includes lots of protein because it is the essential macronutrient.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, now fruit and vegetables. Let's move on to that.
Yeah, so we wanted to place a large emphasis on this. And I mean, for obvious reasons, I think it's common sense that fruit and vegetables are good for you. We don't need to get into the proof or the science behind that. But like we previously mentioned as well, we feel as though when you are eating a lot more of this good stuff, so a lot more of your fruit and vegetables as well as your protein, then it's very filling in it and it's going to fill you up. Having 700 grams of fruit and veg combined, we put the example in the document where that's about 4 servings of vegetables and 2 servings of fruit. That's a lot. So, sorry,
your big bag of spinach that you have with your smoothie, how many grams is that? Is that 480?
Well, no. A whole bag of spinach is 280. I would probably have half of that in there. So that's, say, 140.
Yeah, but the point is that bag is massive and it's 280 grams. So imagine trying to eat that. Obviously not all spinach, but that combined with other vegetables and still be not full.
Well, yeah, if you look at 100 grams of broccoli, or you look at 100 grams of carrot, or 100 grams of cauliflower, or 100 grams of beans, like it's a lot of food. And yes, it's not as delicious as some of the other foods that we may often be eating, but it is going to be very satiating, very filling. So we feel as though having a focus on this and placing an emphasis on eating more of that and having that high target to reach, it's going to make you effectively more healthy, more energy, more vitamins, more minerals, more fiber, but also it's going to fill you up and you're going to be less inclined to be reaching for some other foods due to being hungry after you finish lunch or, an hour after you finish dinner because you've eaten crappy quality food. So a lot of this food is very filling. It's higher in fiber. It's very satiating. So it's going to fill you up and less likely to be eating some of those other foods that maybe we do overeat in other times.
Yeah, and people often associate dieting or healthy eating as being restrictive and eating less food. When it's not eating less food, it's choosing foods that are higher in volume that equal the same amount as that bad food. I'll give you a great example. You can have a couple of blueberries, a banana, apple, and orange on a plate that would fill up the entire plate, or you can have like my thumb size piece of caramel slice. And then the question is, if we are trying to lose weight and we do need to be in a calorie deficit, what's going to help you get there? Is it the thumb-sized caramel slice, or is it a plate full of fruit and vegetables that not only keep you full, that come with all those vitamins, all those minerals, and all those antioxidants, which will help your performance in the gym?
Well, it's win-win. It fills you up more, and it's healthier for you. Yeah. So as opposed to caramel slice, yes, it's delicious, but it's all over in one mouthful, and then you're still extremely hungry, if not more hungry, because you've got a taste of it, as opposed to taking 5 to 10 minutes to eat all of that fruit, and you're going to be a lot more full, and that's going to last your body a lot longer. So you are able to eat more good quality food, and again, it's very much the opposite of reducing or restricting your food. We want you eating more food, but eating more good stuff.
Okay, so things to consider. So I guess one of our biggest tips is for fruit and vegetable is it's fantastic to add them into a smoothie. So for example, you could have some protein powder. If you needed suggestions on protein powder, let us know, grab some protein powder and chuck some spinach, a banana, blueberries and fruit in there. And once again, 2 out of those 3 things you're working towards, which is your protein syrup and your fruit and veg.
Yeah, and we feel as though if you are finding it challenging to get that much fruit and veg in, then you can have 200 to 300 grams of fruit and/or veg in your smoothie. Knock that over in the morning, and all of a sudden you're 40% of your way to your fruit and veg intake for the day, and 50% of your way through to your protein goals. So mix it with water as well, and you've hit all 3 for the trifecta. But feel as though that just really gives you a good leg up. And it's quick and easy in the morning, as long as you're not waking up your partner or the household at 5 a.m. But we feel as though that ticks all the boxes that you need for something to start the day. And like Jamie mentioned before, it front loads your day, so you're getting a lot of them done early to put you in good stead for the remainder of the day.
Okay, so let's just say someone has an event coming up, mate, like a wedding or a birthday party, and they're in the challenge. What's your advice to them?
So exactly that. If they've got a wedding or something in the afternoon, or maybe starts at 2 or 3 or 6, whatever it may be, I'd be having that smoothie for breakfast. As much fruit and veg in there as possible. I'd make sure I have a nice nutritious lunch, have some more protein in there, have a big salad, add some veggies. Aim to get everything taken care of before your event starts. You don't want to be looking at your menu and thinking, I'm going to choose something with veggies in there because I've only got 300 grams so far. Get it done early. That's probably only going to be 1, 2, maybe 3 days out of the 30 if you have got a few things on. So don't stress too much about it. But if you do have that coming up, look to get it done early in the day and get it, like I said, get it sorted in the first party day so you can enjoy the latter half.
And one thing I want to say is just to take the emotion out of food. For example, choose the lesser of 2 evils. So if your kids are going to soccer and you're taking them to McDonald's after, there is a massive difference between you getting a double quarter pounder meal with a strawberry thick shake, a sundae and a caramel slice, or just getting a small cheeseburger meal. You still ate McDonald's, one was 5 times worse. So I think a lot of this stuff with the challenge, it comes back to common sense. Like we all know what we should and shouldn't be eating, and we all know what's healthy and is unhealthy for the most part. It's just making good decisions as many times as possible while nailing those 3 categories on that challenge document.
Exactly. And we know all of you guys listening here are invested because you have enrolled in the challenge. So you have shown interest. You do want to get healthier. You have made that decision and that commitment to do that. So we feel like that's going to be an organic occurrence for you guys anyway. You're going to be less likely to be sabotaging yourself and overdoing things, when you maybe are out in a situation like that. But we also didn't want it to be restrictive. So if by chance you do have a lapse and you do have that double quarter pounder meal,
move on
because you're super hungry or you just can't help the urge. But if you have still eaten 700 grams of fruit and veg in the day, drank 3 liters of water and had your 2 protein sources, then you get 3 ticks that day. What we do know is you aren't going to do that every day, and you're probably not going to do that again for the whole week. So if that's the blemish on your card, that's your blemish for the week, and that's fine. And just know that you can still earn top points for a day when you have done something like that, because we feel as though that's as bad as it gets. As long as you are adding some of those healthier things into your day, then you're doing well.
Yeah, and we find that the people that we've coached in the past have an all or nothing mentality, where it's 30 days, giving up sugar, giving up carbohydrates, 10 liters of water, and they just try and make this massive life overhaul, when if they just nailed those 3 categories, they would be so much healthier while not hating the process. And it's important that you enjoy the process so that day 31, you don't go bananas.
Well, what we haven't addressed as well, we spoke about obviously losing body fat and being healthier, but what we haven't spoke about is feeling better. We feel as though when people are eating better quality food, they're drinking more water, they're getting enough protein to help their body recover from their training, they're going to feel a lot better. They're going to have more energy. They're going to feel vibrant. They're going to feel a lot better about themselves. And that's almost trumps all the other benefits that you get. Because when you're feeling good, you're going to be more productive. You're going to be training better. You're going to be happier. You're going to be less cranky. You're going to sleep better. and then your life is just going to propel itself forward from there. So he feels that that's something you will notice very quickly, and hopefully that motivates you to keep it up.
Anything else, mate, before we wrap it up?
Obviously, we are going to be emailing out all that info to you guys. We've covered most of that just now, and just wanted to give a little bit of, I guess, extra info and a bit of an explanation on a few of those things. If you do have any questions about anything on the document or anything in this video, then feel free to either comment or reach out to us, and we're happy to help you out with whatever you're uncertain of. We've got a couple of days still before we get started. I made a post yesterday, about getting some food scales. So you are going to need those to weigh your fruit and veg. So if you've got those already, that's great. If you still need to pick some up, make sure you do so before Sunday, so you're all ready to roll come the 1st of November. And
we're going to weigh raw. Really important.
What's that?
We're going to weigh our vegetables raw, not cooked.
The way around. Cooked after so we weigh the veg after. We do the blend. If you put stuff in the blender, then you do that raw. Otherwise, you're weighing the stuff raw cooked.
Cool. My mistake. Yeah. All right, guys, we'll wrap it up there. Any questions, let us know. We'll be emailing you quite often. Luckily for you guys, Brody is a master chef, and we'll be sharing lots of her fantastic recipes in this group. And we encourage you all to share recipes too.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when it comes to smoothies or good dinner ideas or nice salad combinations. We want you guys to be able to help out each other as well. And we always love seeing people's pretty photos of what they've had for lunch or what they've got planned for dinner, or, like I said, different smoothie combos. So looking forward to seeing them and helping each other with some different suggestions to support each other through this as well.
All right, we'll wrap it up there. Thanks for listening, guys. Have a lovely, lovely day.
Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you guys again soon.